Welcome to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with Rebecca Hall Greider. In our program each week, we provide the tools, ideas, and encouragement to help you move ahead on your journey, becoming a more powerful and impactful woman in your own life. Now here's your host, Rebecca Hall Greider.
Welcome, everyone. I hope that you're having an amazing day. We are honored to be connecting in with you. And today we're going to be talking about a really important subject that we frequently shy away from, or we're uncomfortable. We don't quite know who to go to. And we are believing myths that are out there or rumors rather than really having great resources to go to empower us, to give us great information to support us on our journey. So I'm really excited to have an amazing guest that I know you're going to be so served by, who's going to empower us around sex, communication, intimacy. These are things that we really want support in. We want real information to support and empower us, but we're not always sure who to go to. And sometimes we get squiggly and uncomfortable asking. And yet, every time this subject comes up, we tend to lean in. Our ears are opened. We are wanting to learn and understand more and can really struggle in communication and feeling connected and feeling empowered when it comes to our relationships, in having sex, in those connections that we have, in intimacy, in communication. We struggle. And so I'm really honored to have our amazing guest joining us today, who's going to help enlighten us, is going to help us know some of the truth, and I think a really powerful approach to being empowered in these areas, so we can feel less nervous or uncomfortable, and instead more empowered, curious, leaning in and feeling like we can move closer in these areas. So I'm really excited to have the show today. In fact, we dedicated the full show to this conversation because we feel it's so important that you get good information, that you are supported, that you are empowered when it comes to approaching your intimate relationships. And in fact, she has a book coming out. Hopefully you've seen some of the news about that, called Let's Finally Talk About Sex, because this tends to be a taboo subject, and yet it's one that can bring us to our knees. And I really want to encourage you and empower you. So I'm very honored to have this conversation with you today, to have this sacred space that we can connect in on a heart level and be encouraged and empowered, and hopefully make this subject something that is more comfortable to talk about, something that we're leaning into and we're feeling excited, curious, hopeful, and empowered to lean forward in our relationships, coming from a place of knowledge and I keep thinking, really feeling empowered. That's the best word. I keep saying it, but that's the best word I can think of in this space. So thank you for leaning in. Thank you for trusting us in this space and in this conversation. I truly appreciate that. We're really looking forward to bringing you really good information to support you on your journey. And I want you to know you're not alone in this being an area that people struggle in, or are curious about, or are wanting to know more about. I find people tend to lean in and yet are not always sure where to go to get support, or to get good information, or to stretch and grow in this area. So very excited to have you leaning in, and I want you to be able to get the most out of our time together today. So to do that, I want to encourage you to choose to be fully present. So choosing to be fully present, ears open, heart open, ready to receive. And in fact, let's take a deep breath together, in through the nose, out through the mouth, like through a straw. Beautiful. Keep breathing. This kind of breath helps bring us present, lowers our stress levels or cortisol levels, brings oxygen to every cell in our body, helping us bring in what serves, release what no longer serves, and create space for us to hear and receive. So keep breathing. And in fact, go ahead and close your eyes as you're breathing. Put one hand on your heart, one hand on your head, mind, body, soul, and spirit. These are reminders to bring them all in. Eyes closed. You're absolutely safe. What is it that you need today? What is it that will encourage you, empower you, excite you, support you? What is it you need today? Particularly when we bring up the subject of let's finally talk about sex. See what that pulls in you. And what is it that you need support in to help you in this space, in this area, to encourage you, to help you feel empowered? What is it you need that you are willing to receive, because you absolutely have choice? So what is it that you need and are willing to receive to be empowered, encouraged, excited? You're looking forward to all that is being brought to you today to support you on your journey. What is it you need? Beautiful. Identify that. Receive that information. Again, we're not talking about how. We're talking about identifying what it is that you need. Receive that information and then come back into the room. Let's go ahead and open up our eyes. Take a deep breath. Become fully present and take a moment to write down what was laid on your heart, what you identified that you need and are willing to receive. Particularly in this area when we're talking about intimacy and sex and communication, what is it that you need and are willing to receive, or perhaps even wanting to explore and learn more about, or you're curious about something in this area? What is it that you need? Wonderful. Great. So write that down. That helps start bringing forward the answers. That starts to bring forward the support when we are on the lookout for exactly what we need. We have identified it, and we're open to the wonderful and amazing way that need may be met. And we are hoping in our conversation today to support you, to lean into helping you in these areas, giving you food for thought, giving you some tools to support you on your journey. So thank you again for joining us. We're going to go around our virtual room here, and when we took a moment to stop, pause, and listen what was laid on our hearts. And I know for me, I felt an openness, like I'm really interested in this conversation. I'm looking forward to exploring all that will be shared, and my heart's desire is that it's very supportive of you as well. So that's kind of what I felt, a curiosity, an interest, an excitement, and a desire for this to serve. So what about you, Dr. Carla? What was on your heart?
I think more than anything, probably just being very thankful for the opportunity to open up this dialogue, and hoping that there will be others who will have faith restored back into their relationships as a result of this. So very excited.
Beautiful. Oh, beautiful, beautiful. Thank you for sharing. I love that place of thankfulness and that desire to really help and support relationships out there. Beautiful. Thank you. So listeners, as we get ready to go to our first commercial break, I want to encourage you to be present. Really listen to what's being spoken into your heart and spirit. Sometimes we're moving so fast. It takes a moment to connect in and catch up with ourselves and even hear what it is in our heart, what is in our spirit, what is speaking to us. So I encourage you, as we go to our first commercial break and you hear the commercials playing in the background with information and updates and things we want you to be aware of, choose to be present. Resist that urge to go cross things off the to-do list and get distracted. Choose to stay present, to be still and listen to what is being laid on your heart and your spirit, what is speaking to you. And we will look forward to continuing our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Be be sure to friend us on Facebook. You can do it right now. Visit facebook.com/Voice America or search for us at keyword Voice America.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Get Unchained. Tune in every Monday for Jane Unchained on the Voice America Influencers channel, featuring nationally recognized best-selling author, TV journalist, and social media influencer Jane Velez Mitchell. This program takes you inside a trending lifestyle that's the next wave of human evolution. It all starts on your plate. If you want to revolutionize your life, get happier, more energized, then discover the secret. Tune in to Jane Unchained Mondays at 10 a.m. Pacific Time and 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the Voice America Influencers channel.
Rebecca Hall-Griter's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Have you had a chance to check out Voice America's online magazine and blog? If you love our hosts and shows, check out articles that give an even deeper perspective, plus topics about health and fitness, movie reviews, philosophy, business tips and tactics, spirituality, positive thought, current events, and even more about your favorite host. It's just a click away at blog.voiceamerica.com. That's blog.voiceamerica.com. The Voice America Press Blog. All access, all the time. We don't follow, we lead. Join us, the Voice America Influencers Channel.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall-Griter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope that you enjoyed those 2 minutes, that you are leaning in with excitement and anticipation for this powerful conversation that we're going to have to really support you around relationships and communication, intimacy, and sex, that we really want to support you in these areas. So let me more formally introduce our powerful guest. Dr. Carla Ivankovich is board certified as a licensed clinical professional counselor and a telemental health provider. She's a PhD in psychology, has degrees in human development counseling, marriage and family therapy, and she is an adjunct lecturer in multiple universities. She's been ranked as a top executive and serves as the CEO of One Patient Global Health Initiative. She is a speaker, a top expert, and influencer, and is passionate about empowering you around those most intimate moments, that intimate communication, conflict resolution, and intimacy of itself. Let's lean in and powerfully welcome Dr. Carla Ivankovich to the show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Glad to be here today.
You're welcome. My hands are up. I'm picturing you taking the stage as you lean in to this conversation. Very excited to have you joining us. And I know you were sharing behind the scenes that your office is tuned and listening. So we send love out to them and excited to have them joining our conversation today as well. And I wanted to start with, why is the work that you do, particularly empowering us around those most intimate moments, why is this work personally so important to you?
I think it's personal to me from the very onset of my childhood. My father was adamant at a very young age that I be well-versed and educated in anything I chose. But for several things, he was adamant that I be educated like it or not, including understanding myself as a female, understanding the concept and the topic of sex and sexuality. And if I was educated, then no one could educate me differently. And so I think it's very powerful for me to ensure that that is always, that's the thing that's driven me to be so passionate.
Oh, I love that. And I know in your book that we're going to be talking about that's coming out, you share a little bit of that journey of him empowering you in this area and what that's like. And it's just beautiful how you share in the influence that he's had in your life, particularly in this area. And so as we look at that and the influence he's had to help you empower others so they're not receiving misinformation or being told things that aren't true or believing some of the myths out there, but instead really being empowered around their body, around sexuality, around communication. Is there something about this as well that you want to add in that's really important to you and kind of continues to drive you as you're seeking to empower and educate people in this space?
I think if anything, it has probably been my children that has continued to propel me along this path. I opted to raise my children with this regard in a manner that is very similar to my father. And even when my children were educated, it seemed like their friends then needed educated or other parents sent their children for me to educate. And then I found in a professional setting the struggle with some therapists that I worked with, many for that fact, that were unable to be able to articulate topics of sex or sexuality at all, let alone with their clients. And so seeing the number of people that struggled, it gave me a reason to say, look, we've got to talk about this. And to do so is a way to save relationships. And if not, people will struggle.
Beautiful. Thank you. And I love that you saw that need and you have elected to step in and support and empower, and I hope listeners, as you're listening, that you're hearing it's on all different levels. Even experts struggle in talking about this area and being able to articulate in sexual matters and intimacy and how do they work through that themselves, much less help and support the people they are called to help and support. So if anyone out there is feeling at an edge or struggling a little bit or not quite sure what to do or curious, I hope that this conversation is going to be supportive of you. And I want you to be encouraged that there are amazing experts like Dr. Carla that are leaning into you to support you. And I know that some of this has led to your desire to bring your book forward. And I'd love for you to share a little bit about, because I know you do so much work in this arena, but you have decided to bring a book forward to support people even more. So can you share why you decided to lean in and take that step of bringing a book forward?
Sure. For more than 20 years as a therapist and also as an educator, I have watched countless couples or even trained counselors who were struggling to be able to know what steps were right to help people in therapy. And so I had a radio show for years, and the radio show was called Life and Love, and the entry song was Let's Talk About Sex, and that's a big part of what we did. We talked about sex. We talked about in an educational fashion, obviously nothing inappropriate. But we gave listeners an opportunity to be able to ask questions. And week after week after week, the questions kept pouring in. And it made me realize there are so many people that don't have an opportunity to have this forum to talk about, that the best way that I could manage it was to actually write a book that would educate many as opposed to just the few that I was able to get to in a classroom or in therapy sessions. So the book came out.
That's so exciting. Well, congratulations. It's such a huge undertaking to bring a book forward. And I so appreciate your willingness to answer that call to serve and support many around the world so that they can get that help, they can learn, they can become empowered in these areas. So, what's the title of your book again? This is a test for listeners. I've shared it a couple of times. What's the title?
The title is Let's Finally Talk About Sex, Improving Intimacy Through Communication. Finally talk
Beautiful.
about it.
Yeah, emphasizing the finally.
Emphasizing the finally.
Exactly. Yeah, because it's time. It's time. And this book is coming out on Amazon. So I want everybody to lean in and mark this date on your calendar. It'll be released on June 30th. And it'll be available for a special rate of $1 for the first 24 hours. So that's why you want to mark it on your calendar. It'll be available in a Kindle format, and that's what will be released on June 30th, which is exciting. So we are almost there. And I'm curious, how does it feel when we're just almost there? It's almost time to release your book. What does that feel like?
It's so pent up right now. I'm so excited to see this happen. Having gone through this whole process of writing, stop writing, think about it for a little while, put it away for a month or so, then start again, to know that the fact is here. But I think it was when I got the book cover, the final book cover was when I just bubbled over with excitement. I'm very, very excited. And I'm hoping that the 30th will prove to be everything I hope it will be.
Beautiful. I love that. So everyone, let's lean in and watch for her amazing book to support you on your journey. And I'm curious if you're willing to share a little bit of the story of how your dad introduced this subject to you.
Oh, sure. This is the greatest. I was 10 years old, and my father said that he wanted to go for a ride. And on one hand, I thought, oh, no, I was in trouble. He wanted to have a conversation with me. What had I done? And then on the other hand, he had pizza. So it didn't matter what he wanted. I had pizza. Right. And so we got in the car, we went, and he pulled into a local park, and there were ball diamonds everywhere. Kids were playing Little League, and there was one open table. And he and I went over and sat down, and we got pizza, and I started eating my pizza, and he said, so tell me what you know about coitus, young lady. And I had no idea what he meant. I had no idea. I was 10 years old. And in his hand, he had this little red book that I now know to be called the Life Cycle books. And from that point, we went on this very detailed conversation about sex, the understandings, reproduction, what that meant, and he walked me through all of it. But when he told me that coitus was actually the term for sexual intercourse, I almost choked on my pizza. I remember that to this day, thinking, oh boy, I'm about to die. And I was also positive that every boy on those baseball fields stopped to stare. I was positive they heard me. Obviously they didn't, but it definitely made it a conversation I will never forget for the rest of my life.
Mm. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I know at one moment in that conversation, you looked at him and it was like, why are you telling me this? And what was his response?
Oh, well, he wanted to educate me. He wanted me to be educated for the sole purpose of knowing that if I was educated, I would never have to believe the myths that I would be told and that I could make informed decisions. And I think that was such a beautiful thing for him to do at that time. Absolutely.
Yeah, I think it was so beautiful. And I love that story because it so impacted you and the love that he had for you to approach the subject and make it something that you could have confidence in in versus something that could be scary, or we believe myths and that kind of thing. And I love that he leaned in and supported you in that way. I just think it's so beautiful. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I also know in your book, you have a section, myths and truths. Do you want to share just a little highlight of that section?
Oh, my goodness gracious. I chose an A to Z format. I thought that when I very first started writing the myths section, I tried to recall all the myths I'd ever been told by patients, by clients, by my children, by nieces and nephews, friends, whatever. I tried to find, and as I started to write them down, it went on and on and on. And I realized that the likelihood was that the myths chapter would probably be equivalent to the entire rest of the book. So instead, I pared it down and did an A to Z. And in there, I wrote the ones that I found to be the most humorous. Partially because in my eyes, there's no way those things could have ever been possible, but yet the number of people that believe them is astronomical. One in particular is that using Coca-Cola as a douche will prevent pregnancy. I don't know what to say about that. That's not factual. But yet there are research studies done on this.
Exactly. And just for anyone who wondered, it's a myth. I just want to be clear on that.
Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, but there's a lot of things like that we wonder or we hear or it's getting spread and believed. And like you said, that one was even believed on such a level that studies were conducted on it. So there's a lot of myths and misunderstandings out there on the subject. So I appreciate you creating, paring it down to A to Z and really helping us know the myth from the truth in your book. So thank you for sharing a little bit about that section. We are getting ready to go to our next commercial break. And as we do that, I want you to take a moment and just think about, when did you first hear about sex, or were you taught about reproduction? When was that, and how was that? And were there things that you've discovered later on, perhaps are not true? Just take a moment to go back in time a little bit and reflect on that, and then think about how Dr. Carla's journey has been and the amazing information and insight that she is bringing forward. But take a moment to kind of connect in, because we want to encourage you can always call in. We don't have to share names. If you do have questions, comments, things you're wondering, we are really here to support you on your journey. And we're going to touch on just a few things, and you can absolutely lean into her amazing book that'll be coming out on June 30th. Let's finally talk about sex. But take a moment to be present, to listen, to receive, and we will look forward to continuing our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Think you've seen everything there is to see in online television? Let us surprise you. Visit voiceamerica.tv today for sports, health, business, and more on demand 24/7.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Sustainable success is just around the corner. If you are an entrepreneur, business leader, or anybody looking for their next level of success, tune into Sustainable Success with host Chris Salem. Did you know that the path to success is a long path that started many years ago? The path you started on then determines what is happening now. Chris and his amazing guests in their field will help you navigate the path to sustainable success every Thursday at 12 noon Eastern Time and 9 a.m. Pacific on the Voice America Influencers channel.
Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit empoweredconnectionstv.com. That's empoweredconnectionstv.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
Tune in to the Voice America Variety channel on the Voice America Talk Radio Network. Voice America Variety broadcasts a diverse array of topics, reaching a global community. Our experts come from all walks of life, and the topics they discuss are everything from current events, arts and entertainment, leadership, parenting, relationships, self-improvement, career advice, and a variety of other topics. Check us out today. You're sure to find something of interest. Voice America Variety. Talk on today's hot topics.
Change starts here. Change starts now. Join us, the Voice America Influencers Channel.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall-Gruyter. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you took those 2 minutes to just reflect back on how you first learned about sex. How did that and reproduction and all of those things. It's so important to think back on how we first learned, how we were raised, what was the communication that we received around this area, because that's going to affect things today. So behind the scenes, Dr. Carla and I were talking a little bit about the importance of this and taking a moment to check in, to go back, because that will affect so much of how you approach relationships today. So with that, I want to hand the floor over to you, Dr. Carla, to expand on this and share some of the things that can really, from our childhood, that can really impact our relationships and communication today.
Absolutely. So one of the things we're hearing a lot of these days is the discussion of how the way you were raised and the attachments that you had when you were younger, how they impact you later in life. And that's definitely true. But when it comes to the issues of sex and reproduction and intimacy, all of those issues, we have to take a look a little bit deeper. So it is the familial or the cultural way that you were raised, coupled with the religious beliefs that your family held, and then your family's willingness to actually talk about it. So for some raised in a purity culture, the discussion of sex or even having sex pretty much starts and ends with, don't do it, you'll go to hell. And that's a struggle for people later on in life, because if they don't know what the expectation is or what they are able to communicate, we live with this fear of rejection. So it starts all the way back in childhood, and many people don't realize, because we're thinking, oh, well, I've had relationships, this works. But the reality is the way you were raised has the greatest effect on how you're willing to communicate and discuss issues of sex and sexuality.
And why is it so important that we do discuss them? Why does it matter that we're able to communicate and have conversations around sex and sexual matters and sexual intimacy? Why is that important that we communicate?
Well, I think it's critical because right off the bat, we have to understand that if you want something, you're going to have to ask for it. If you decide that they're handing out chocolate cake and you never ask for a chocolate cake at dinner, you're not going to get chocolate cake. And so we can liken that to, well, if you're endeavoring into sexual intercourse, and if you're a female, for example, and you never achieve an orgasm with your partner, you're going to become resentful at some point. while women want to be wanted, needed, and valued, and in relationships to know that they're the only one, and men want to be appreciated, admired, adored, all those things, if we don't get on the same page, there's no way we can meet each other's needs. So you got to talk about it in order to get it. So that's why it's so critical.
Beautiful. And how do you help couples start to have those conversations, especially if perhaps time has gone by and there's some resentment, it's uncomfortable, it's like the elephant in the room. How do you help couples start to connect and talk and communicate again?
Oh, absolutely. It's probably one of the most difficult tasks I would ever have as a therapist. And for the very reason you said, as resentment builds up, you are less likely to actually want to work together. We've built up these defense mechanisms to protect ourselves. But when we build up those walls to keep the pain out, we cement that hurt in. And that can be detrimental to a relationship. So right off the bat, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to talk about things unrelated to sex. Maybe there will be differences in opinion. Maybe you want to order pepperoni pizza, but I only like sausage pizza. Then we have to have those discussions. And we have to learn the language of our partner. What is it you're saying rather than me interpreting? What are you saying? And here's what I think you're saying. And we've got to learn to talk. Because again, that fear of rejection, it's much easier to sit in the corner and not say anything because you fear the rejection. But as long as you do that, you will continue to feel rejection.
And that was so powerful what you said about how it's cementing that kind of that wound that hurt in those walls that we're putting up. And I hope everyone felt just a little like, oh, we don't have to start really direct. We can start with learning how to communicate and how to talk about differences of opinions as easy and something as simple as ordering pizza, learning how to understand each other and the language of your partner. I love that. I think that was really beautiful and how powerful that would be on so many levels in a relationship. And I know in your book, you have a number of case studies and stories where you're sharing the journeys of people as they are starting to or looking to get help in these areas. And I know we've changed names to protect the innocent, all of that. The names have been changed. But the case studies, the information is very real. It's very candid. And I'd love for you to share a little bit of why you did that, why you decided to share kind of what goes on in a sense in your office space, giving some examples for people to follow and identify with.
I think I chose that simply because as I have been a therapist for decades, I've heard the same theme over and over and over. Now, when I teach students, I tell them we have to look at content versus process. Content is the detail. It's the drama. Process is that pattern that keeps happening over and over and over. And when I see that process in every single couple who is struggling with issues surrounding intimacy and communication, I know that it's not just an issue of the details. It's a process we've got to look at. Why are these patterns happening? So in trying to convey the story, the only true way to convey it is to hear what these people went through and then recognizing that others would be able to align with them and say, I get it. That's exactly what's happened to me. I understood this. So the best way for you to feel better about it without feeling so threatened is to see it happening in someone else. And then you can make changes from there.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. And when you think about your book, it has so many rich pieces to it. I mean, I'm excited to see it shared and released in the world and the impact that it will have in so many people's lives. But as you reflect back on it and you're thinking about it soon to be released on June 30th, everybody, just everyone to mark it on your calendar. Do you have what you're hoping will happen? What do you hope readers will take? What do you hope the impact will be? What is on your heart as you're sharing it out to the world? What are you hoping readers will gain?
I'm hoping couples will start talking about it rather than turning to the arms of another person for sexual fulfillment. I'm hoping that couples will strengthen their relationships And if you're not in a relationship, I hope that you learn the tools ahead of time to learn how to ask for what you want, communicate your needs, communicate the things that you don't like, you don't enjoy, and do so in a way that strengthens your relationship rather than tears it down. So in all of this, I hope that people just simply start to talk about sex.
Beautiful. Beautiful, which takes us back to the title. Let's finally talk about sex and really be empowered in that space to have those conversations. Now, as we're looking ahead, I don't want to take away from the moment of launch, but I also love to look ahead. What are things that people can know about that are coming, things and resources and opportunities that are going to be coming following the book?
Oh, absolutely. So in addition to the book, there will be a journal, a companion journal, which I think will definitely be fantastic with couples or even you as an individual who just simply wants to start processing this on your own so that you can be better for you or for yourself as your part as a couple. But then I'm also going to be opening up a course that is basically revolves around this entire book. So every chapter in this book will have a component, a module of a course that will help couples manage this all on their own.
Oh, beautiful. Making it accessible to so many. That's exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I definitely don't interrupt. I got excited. So anything else you want to add?
No, for me, I never want to dissuade people from seeing a therapist. I think that is the most important thing that you can do when your relationship is even remotely showing signs of a struggle. But at the same time, I also know that it's very sad but true that we still have a stigma against mental health today. So many people choose not to go to see a therapist. So my hope is that this opens up the door for if you won't step into a therapist's office, you'll at least have an option for how to work on your relationship and help you and your relationship.
Beautiful. Thank you. I can just hear how strongly your heart beats to help people in this area and to support them and make it accessible, make it available so people can really have stronger relationships, better communication, and the healthier relationships overall because they're able to talk about things that can sometimes be challenging or feel so intimate we're not even quite sure how to talk about them. So I love how you are wanting to take a stand for relationships and empower them. As we get ready to go to our next commercial break, is there something you would like our listeners to reflect on?
I think to really truly ask yourself, what is your willingness to openly communicate with your partner? Not the willingness that you tell your partner you have, but the willingness that if you were to just look you in the eyes, in the mirror, in the morning, the truth that you need to tell yourself. Do you have that ability to remain open?
Beautiful. Thank you. So as we go to our next commercial break, I encourage you to use these 2 minutes, maybe even pull out the mirror and look and ask yourself that question. And we will look forward to continuing our conversation in just 2 minutes.
Follow us on Twitter at VoiceAmericaTRN. Get the lowdown on guests, new shows, and your favorites. That's VoiceAmericaTRN. Announcing a powerful new TV channel featuring programs designed to enhance and transform your life. Make powerful connections, one program at a time. And by doing so, we can bring transformation to the world. Tune in each week to Empowered Connections TV as we add new programs to help you make empowered connections of your own. Visit EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. That's EmpoweredConnectionsTV.com. And make the most of an incredible life transformation.
There's a new force to be reckoned with in talk radio. It's Not Just Talk Radio, hosted by LaTanya Jr. and co-host Tina Wynn and Tony Brown. Not Just Talk Radio is like a superhero, inspiring, problem-solving, and informing, packed with action-provoking conversations from news, movements, and social and politics issues. This program is about a wide range of voices and fresh points of view from experts, celebrities, and you, the listener. Not Just Talk Radio is broadcast live Wednesdays at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, 8 a.m. Pacific on the Voice America Influencers Channel.
Rebecca Hall Greider's Speaker Talent Search is looking for speakers wanting to get on more stages. With just one audition, you could open the doors to hundreds of speaking opportunities, reach more people, and expand your impact. Finalists get to audition live in front of leaders looking to fill all kinds of speaking opportunities. Apply now at SpeakerTalentSearch.com. That's SpeakerTalentSearch.com. We look forward to hearing your message.
Become a member of VoiceAmerica.com. It's easy, and best of all, it's free. Start out by going to our homepage or any of our channels and click register at the top. Once you've created an account and signed in, you can create your own custom library, opt into our newsletter, search by show, host, guest, or topic of interest, or browse millions of hours of content across all of our Voice America radio channels. Membership gets you more. Visit VoiceAmerica.com today to get started and tailor the listening experience to your taste.
We don't follow, we lead. Join us, the Voice America Influencers Channel.
You're listening to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives with your host, Rebecca Hall Greider. If you have a question or comment for Rebecca or her guest, we'd love to hear from you. Please call into the program at 1-866-472-5795. That's 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to Rebecca at yourpurposedrivenpractice.com. Now back to Empowering Women, Transforming Lives.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you enjoyed those 2 minutes. You took a moment to really ask your question. If you're open, ask that question. Are you open to being open and seeking communication and really learning about each other, learning about yourself? Are you open? That's a great place to start. I hope that our conversation today has empowered you, has served you. It has helped open up expanded your view and opened up ways that you can approach talking about sex, intimate conversations, communication, how those all tie together and affect our relationships. That when we look back at time, how were we raised? How did we learn about sex and reproduction and all those things that can affect how we are communicating today, and that can affect our relationships. And hearing that heartbeat of Dr. Carla to empower couples to have good communication, to have powerful relationships, and be able to connect intimately, including how they are connecting and talking about sex, that you can feel that heartbeat and that desire. And I'm very grateful, Dr. Carla, that you were able to join us today. I know when it's getting close to launch, things get really busy. I appreciate you taking time and your desire to help so many of us, to be willing to bring forward so many tools and resources. So with that, I wanted to give everybody an opportunity to be able to connect with you on a deeper level. What are ways that they can follow you, connect in, take that relationship a little bit deeper with you?
Sure. They can always reach out to me on social media, and it is I am Dr. Carla with a K. I am Dr. Carla, and again, Carla's with a K. You can reach out to me on Facebook at Carla Ivankovich, PhD. Or you can go to my website at www.carlaivankovich.com.
Perfect. Thank you for sharing. And your book title, one more time.
It is Let's Finally Talk About Sex, Improved Intimacy Through Authentic Communication.
And what day is it coming out?
Coming out on June 30th.
Perfect. I just want everyone to know nobody can miss that date. We've tried to repeat and share it a couple of times. June 30th is the magic date. This powerful book will be available for the amazing rate of $1 on Amazon. So I encourage you to check it out. Help us get the word out. Let's really shift the tide on relationships being uncomfortable and help them become more comfortable and talking and communicating around these areas and being able to really be empowered and clear in our communication and in our relationships. And with that, Dr. Carla, do you have a piece of advice, something to encourage or support us as we get ready to go back out into the world?
I think that obviously my encouragement is to simply communicate with your partner. But before you even get to that point, ask yourself what it is that you want out of intimacy. And you can't ask for something you don't know what you want. So having the ability to speak with yourself openly, ask for the things that you maybe otherwise would have been embarrassed to consider. And that from that point, have that conversation with your partner, but first have it with you. What do you want out of your intimacy?
Beautiful. Wonderful question. I encourage listeners, as we get ready to bring the show to a close, take a couple of minutes and ask that question. Take a moment to journal on it and reflect. What do you want? Have that clarity. That's a great place to start because we can't expect people to read our minds or help us figure it out. But instead, taking time to explore and then being willing to ask. I think that's great advice. Thank you for sharing. And listeners, I want to thank you for leaning into this subject matter, giving us an opportunity to come very close and intimately connect with you today as we talk about this important subject. And I hope that you are excited about her book launch, leaning in, help us get the word out. We really do want to help reach as many people as possible around the world to empower them in this area, to be able to have clear communication, to be empowered in how we're connecting with our partners is such a beautiful vision and can help relationships on such a deep level. And what I want to encourage you as well is to remember, as you're asking those questions, as you're getting clarity, that you are worth it. You're worth asking these questions. You have great value. There is nobody else just like you. You're absolutely needed in this world, and nobody else can identify exactly what it is that you want or need. So taking that time for you to explore, to ask the questions, to explore is so important. And then you can bring that to your relationships, to your communication, because you have great value. You're absolutely needed in this world. And I want you, as you get ready to go back out into the world, to own that, to feel it, to claim it, and to be willing to share the gift of you. Because I believe you are, in fact, made for such a time as this. And the biggest gift you can give the world is sharing a little bit more of you. So get clear on who you are. Get clear on what you need. Get clear on what you're wanting to bring forward, what you're wanting to communicate, and then take the steps to do that. Take those steps to bring you forward, to shine a little bit brighter. And it's amazing the impact we can have for ourselves and we can have for others around the world. So be willing to share the gift of you, shine brightly and beautifully out in the world, and that encourages others to do the same. And therefore, heart by heart, life by life, we are bringing brightness, support, gifts to the world. We can light the world up in a beautiful and powerful way when we each decide to be clear, to step forward, and to shine. So wherever you go, whatever you do, I hope that you choose to bloom where you are planted, dig your roots deep, and shine the amazing gift of who you are out in the world. Have an amazing week, everyone. I will look forward to talking to you next time.
Thank you for joining us this week for Empowering Women, Transforming Lives. Please tune in again for another edition with your host, Rebecca Hall-Griter, next Thursday at 2 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 a.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Influencers channel. And join us for a replay of the show every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific, on the Voice America Empowerment channel. Have a beautiful week, and may you always bloom where you're planted and shine.